Friends, I've just realized something very disturbing. Cars 1 is one of my favorite movies. Every time I have some free time, I watch it to get more ideas and make videos about Disney cars. But recently, I realized that Hudson Hornet had intentions to murder the Lightning McQueen. And it all makes sense, because if we analyze the story of each one and the actions they took in the first scenes when they met, we'll realize it's very possible. Here's my theory on why I think Doc Hudson tried to murder the Lightning McQueen. But before we start, if you'd like to see more theories like this, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Let's begin. After the Lightning McQueen ties with his rivals, Strip Weathers and Chick Hicks, they all head straight to California for the tiebreaker race. We notice that almost all the competitors, including the Lightning McQueen, are conceited and selfish. McQueen disregards his team, hates his sponsors, ignores the advice given by Strip Weathers, and treats his only friend, who at that time was Mac, like garbage. On the way to the highway, some cars cause McQueen to veer off course and end up on Route 66, and due to speeding, he ends up destroying the main street of a town called Radiator Springs. And up to this point, it might seem like it was just a simple accident, a race car wanting to get back on track, but ended up causing a lot of damage out of panic. Well, no, my friends. It was at this point that Doc Hudson began his plan to finish off the Lightning McQueen. The next day, we see McQueen waking up in the Radiator Springs jail, and from there, he's taken to court, where the judge is none other than Doc Hudson, who seemingly is furious about what happened the night before. I mean, we all know Doc is a good guy. He is a bit old now, but he's one of those gentlemen who seem serious but have a very pleasant soul underneath. But this time we meet him, he's completely furious, making many references similar to those of a psychopathic murderer.
I want his hood on a platter. I'm gonna put him in jail till he rots. No, check that. I'm gonna put him in jail till the jail rots on top of him, and then I'm gonna move him to a new jail and let that jail rot.
Doc shows no empathy or consideration for whoever destroyed the street, but as soon as he sees Lightning McQueen, he wants him immediately out of town.
Throw him out of here, Sheriff. I want him out of my courtroom. I want him out of our town.
For those who know about the story of Doc Hudson, you'll know he wanted McQueen out of the town because of the terrible past he had. We'll explain a bit more about that later in the video. Sally arrives to defend the Lightning McQueen. In fact, Lightning was already free, but by trying to be too clever, Sally made sure McQueen fixed the street. After doing a horrible job with Bessie, Doc Hudson gets even more furious, and it's at this point that Doc plans another murder on the Lightning McQueen. Yes folks, Doc Hudson had already planned the first murder before McQueen was sentenced. But to understand all this, let's start with the action that blames Doc even more. Sally managed to get Doc to see reasons and leave all his problems in the past. Lightning would fix the street, and they wouldn't get into bigger trouble. But after Lightning McQueen ruins the street even more, it's at this moment that Doc Hudson returns to his psychopathic desire. Wisely, he proposes a friendly race to the Lightning McQueen. Apparently, everyone is surprised and thinks he'll lose, but he knows something the others don't. And it's that, being so conceited, Lightning McQueen would accelerate to his maximum speed and wouldn't be able to make such a sharp turn in the desert land. Doc knew McQueen would fail, possibly having a tragic accident at a very high speed. The ground wasn't flat, there was a considerable drop, which led to some cacti. Doc even asks Mater for help in case his services are needed. He knew there was a possibility McQueen could die. Because think about it, an accident like that at high speeds can be devastating for a car. Many dents, mechanical failures, or even a gasoline leak resulting in an explosion. Just look at Doc's accident. He was racing at high speeds on sand, but surely not as fast as the Lightning McQueen could go, and he just got completely destroyed. Even when McQueen fails, it seems to everyone that it was a very hard hit. Possibly McQueen, being such a finely developed car, had better grip on the tires, and his brakes and aerodynamics saved them. Because luckily for the Lightning, he fell parallel to the ground and wasn't propelled and flipped over. But for those who think this is all made up, let's go to the first murder Doc Hudson had planned before meeting McQueen. Because yes friends, I think Doc was a serial killer. And this scene makes me think that Doc Hudson had an accomplice with other murders he's committed, and that's the sheriff. Not only did Doc give us hints of his evil plans by entering the court enraged, but the sheriff told McQueen that Doc should have mercy on his soul.
May Doc have mercy on your soul.
This, my friends, is usually said by a judge to a sentenced person when they are sentenced to death. May God have mercy on your soul.
To be put to death, as by the law provided. This, the 4th day of March, 2019. May God have mercy on your soul.
May Doc have mercy on your soul.
Which indicates that the sheriff already knew what was gonna happen, and possibly he knew more about what Doc did in the past, because if you look at them, they are both very close friends. I mean, for God's sake, even the sheriff lets Doc perform surgeries on his porch where the sun doesn't shine. And for those who think that after Sally got him to reason, Doc didn't think about doing anything to the Lightning McQueen anymore, we have to remember a bit about Doc's history before arriving at Radiator Springs. And it's something he explains himself in the movie. He was an excellent racer in the Piston Cup. He won several times, but after a tragic accident, it was thought he wouldn't be able to return to racing. The doctors told him he wouldn't be cured because of the great damage he had done. He didn't want to give up his dream, so he studied to become a doctor and fix himself, thus returning to racing. But when he finally returned, the conceited and selfish cars of the Piston Cup completely rejected him, not letting him compete anymore, and thus breaking his dreams forever. This angered the fabulous Hudson Hornet very much, and from then on, anything related to racing or the Piston Cup, he found great hatred for. And that's why I think that murder he planned with Lightning McQueen was for the same thing that happened to him, with that tragic accident that ended his career. But in fact, my friends, if we delve into the small details left by Disney cars, we can realize that this plan by Doc Hudson is much more elaborate than we think. And apparently, Hudson had been committing these murders of Piston Cup racers for a long time. And Lightning McQueen wasn't the only victim. You see, Doc arrived at Radiator Springs in 1970. At that time, there were different inhabitants, among whom was Big Al, mentioned by Lizzie in court.
So don't you think the car responsible should fix our road?
The only guy strong enough to fix that road is Big Al.
Lizzie, Big Al left like 15 years ago.
Big Al left Radiator Springs 15 years before Lightning McQueen arrived in 2005. Possibly Big Al is also a Hudson accomplice. Big Al calls himself Lightning McQueen's biggest fan. He has privileged access to VIP seats in the Piston Cup, so possibly he was in charge of giving Doc Hudson information that could be useful to him to have another victim. And not only did he do it with McQueen, but in fact, we've seen these campers dressed in different ways to support different racers. And maybe it was Doc or the sheriff who sent the tuned cars to cause Mac to have an accident along with McQueen. Possibly it was the sheriff, who in one of the post-credit scenes we see how the tuned cars go at full speed through Radiator Springs, but we don't know if this was before or after McQueen's arrival. What possibly was, is that it was before. And from there, Doc had some kind of connection with them to be able to let him go free, and thus, Doc continued to take his revenge, which Shirley had been doing in the past years with other racers. I mean, when the tuned cars caused this with Mac, they were very close to Radiator Springs, so there might be a possible connection. Maybe all this was a plan by Doc Hudson to cause an accident near Route 66 of someone famous and finally have visitors, and at the same time getting some kind of revenge for what they did to him in the past. And in fact, maybe after McQueen helped the town of Radiator Springs and showed that there could be a change, Doc decided to change all these bad attitudes, and instead of ending the Lightning McQueen, he decided to help him to end that evil cycle. After a few years, Doc couldn't live with all the atrocities he did in the past anymore, and that's why we also didn't see much of Big Al anymore, apart from the fact that the sheriff had fewer important appearances in the following movies. But well, my friends, what do you think of this whole theory? If you liked it, don't forget to leave a like and share the video with your friends so we can keep making more videos like this. I'll see you in the comments.